The smell of recycled air mixed with fear filled the auction hall. Lily Reeves pressed her small nose against the cold viewing glass, watching the strange creatures below. Her parents stood behind her, talking about boring equipment they needed for their colony work. She did not care about machines. She wanted to see the animals. Down on the circular platform, handlers in thick armor brought out a massive beast. 6 legs moved with careful steps. Dark gray scales covered its body, and red patterns glowed softly along its sides. Crystal fangs filled its mouth, each one as long as Lily's arm. The creature's eyes looked around the room, searching for something. Lily thought it looked sad. The auctioneer, a tall alien with 4 arms, began shouting numbers. Rich buyers from different worlds raised their hands. Some wanted the beast for fighting arenas. Others wanted it for private armies. Everyone called it CR9, but that seemed like a mean name for something so big and alone. Lily's father bent down to her level. "That's a Vrathian war beast, very dangerous. They make them to fight wars." "It looks scared," Lily said softly. Her mother laughed a little. "Sweetheart, that thing has killed 17 people. It's not scared, it's deadly." But Lily kept watching those eyes. She knew scared when she saw it. Her old dog back on Earth used to get that same look during thunderstorms. The bidding grew louder. Numbers climbed higher. The beast pulled against its purple glowing restraints. The handlers shocked it with electric prods, making it roar. The sound shook the entire observation deck. Other people stepped back from the glass. Lily stepped closer. Something changed in the beast's eyes. They turned from sad to angry. Its muscles tensed under those gray scales. The red markings began glowing brighter, pulsing like a heartbeat. "Oh no," one of the guards near Lily's family said into his radio. "The restraints are at maximum. It's going to break." The beast pulled harder. Cracks appeared in the purple energy bands around its legs. The handlers ran backward, shouting warnings. The auctioneer dropped his microphone. Rich buyers stood up from their seats, ready to leave. With a sound like breaking glass, the restraints shattered. Purple energy scattered across the platform. The beast stood at full height, 12 feet of muscle and fury. Its crystalline fangs caught the light as it roared again. This time, people screamed. Red alarm lights began flashing throughout the station. A loud voice came through speakers everywhere. "Emergency evacuation. All civilians proceed to nearest exit pods." The observation deck turned into chaos. Aliens of every shape pushed toward the doors. Lily's father grabbed her hand. Her mother grabbed the other. They tried to stay together, but the crowd was too strong. Hundreds of beings pushed and shoved, desperate to escape. "Hold on to her," Lily's mother shouted. But someone big and covered in fur knocked into her father. His hand slipped from Lily's grip. Another alien pushed between them. Lily tried to call out, but her voice was too small in all the noise. The crowd carried her parents one way and pushed her another. She ended up alone in a corner of the observation deck as others ran past. She could not see her parents anywhere. Below, the beast was fighting security forces. Energy weapons fired at it, but its scales protected it. It moved fast for something so big, destroying everything in its path. Then the floor shook. Not from the beast, but from something worse. The station's structure was breaking. Metal beams above the observation deck began to bend. Sparks flew from broken cables. The viewing glass developed long cracks. A support beam crashed down, blocking the main exit. Lily was trapped on one side alone. The shaking got worse. Part of the floor tilted and she slid toward the cracked glass. She grabbed onto a broken chair and held tight. Through the gaps in the damaged wall, she heard the beast coming closer. Its heavy footsteps made the metal floor ring. Other people had escaped this section. She was the only one left. The wall exploded inward. Chunks of metal flew past Lily's head. Through the dust and smoke, the beast stepped into the observation deck. It had to duck its head to fit through the hole it made. Those glowing red markings pulsed faster now. Blood dripped from cuts on its scales where weapons had hit it. The beast's eyes found Lily immediately. It took one step toward her, then another. Its claws scraped against the floor. Every instinct told Lily to run, but there was nowhere to go. The exit was blocked. The floor was unstable. Running would just make her fall. So instead, she did something her parents would think was crazy. She let go of the chair and sat down cross-legged on the tilted floor. She folded her small hands in her lap and looked up at the massive creature. The beast stopped. Its head tilted to one side, confused. Prey always ran. Prey always screamed. This tiny creature was doing neither. Lily thought about her dog at home. When he got excited and jumped around, she would give him a command in a calm voice. It always worked. "Sit," she said quietly. The beast blinked. Its crystalline fangs were still showing, but it was not roaring anymore. It just stared at this small human child who smelled different from everything else. No fear scent came from her, only something else, something it had never encountered before. Lily said it again, a little louder. "Sit." Slowly, like it was fighting against its own programming, the war beast lowered its massive body. Its 6 legs folded beneath it. Its tail curled around its side. It sat just like she asked. Emergency lights flickered around them. Dust settled from the damaged ceiling. Somewhere in the distance, security teams were shouting. But in this small corner of the broken observation deck, a 6-year-old human girl and the galaxy's deadliest predator sat quietly together. The beast's red markings began to glow softer. Its breathing slowed from angry huffs to something calmer. Those eyes that had looked so sad at the auction now looked confused and curious. Lily smiled a little. "Good," she whispered. 3 hours had passed since the impossible happened. The medical bay hummed with nervous energy as doctors moved between patients injured during the evacuation. But the real attention focused on one small room at the end of the hallway. Inside, Lily sat on a medical bed, swinging her legs. The war beast lay on the floor beside her, taking up most of the available space. Its massive head rested near her feet. Every few minutes, a doctor would try to approach with a scanner. Every time, the beast would growl low in its throat, and the doctor would back away. "This is scientifically impossible," Dr. Heron said for the 10th time. The 4-armed Quillan scientist stood outside the room, watching through the reinforced window. Her multiple hands held different data tablets, all showing readings that made no sense. Lily's parents stood nearby, holding each other tight. They had been reunited with their daughter an hour ago, but station security refused to let them take her away from the beast. Any attempt to separate them made the creature violent. "Our daughter is not staying in there with that thing," Lily's father said firmly. "Sir, we understand your concern," the security chief replied. He was a tall reptilian species with calm eyes. "But 3 teams have tried to tranquilize the war beast. It won't let anyone near it except your child. If we force the issue, people will die." Through the window, they watched Lily pat the beast's scaled head. It closed its eyes and made a sound almost like a cat purring, though much deeper. Ambassador Patricia Hollies arrived with a team of human diplomats. She was an older woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Status report," she said simply. Dr. Heron pulled up holographic displays. "The war beast is a Vrathian military creation. They breed them in isolation chambers from birth. Torture and conditioning make them into perfect killing machines. They have no pack instincts, no social behaviors, no capacity for loyalty or affection. Everything we know about their biology says bonding is impossible." "Yet there sits one, bonded to a 6-year-old, Hollies observed. "Exactly. I have been studying war beasts for 20 years. This should not exist." Dr. Heron switched between display screens. "Look at its brain chemistry. These are the same patterns we see in domesticated animals. Oxytocin production, reduced cortisol levels, active reward centers. It is experiencing what humans would call happiness." One of the human diplomats spoke up. The Vrathians are demanding we return their property. They have a war fleet at the station's edge. They want the beast back, or they threaten military action. Hollis nodded slowly. How long until they attack? 24 hours. Inside the room, Lily had found a meal tray someone left for her. She picked up a piece of synthetic meat and held it out. Want some? The beast's massive jaws could have swallowed her whole arm. Instead, it gently took the food from her palm, careful not to touch her skin with its crystal fangs. It ate slowly, watching her face. See, Lily said to the window, knowing people watched. He is nice when you are nice to him. Dr. Heron's eyes went wide. She called it him. She has gendered the creature, assigned it personhood. The scientist looked at Hollis. This is how humans domesticated wolves thousands of years ago. You did not see them as threats to control. You saw them as potential friends. Our species has a history with dangerous animals, Hollis admitted. We turned wolves into dogs, wild horses into companions, birds of prey into hunting partners. We see possibility where others see only danger. The security chief checked his tablet. The Vrathian commander wants to speak with you, Ambassador. Put him through. A hologram appeared showing a Vrathian military officer. He looked like a larger, more armored version of the Warbeast, standing on 2 legs instead of 6. His scales were darker, almost black, with sharp ridges along his skull. I am Commander Drath, he said in a harsh voice. You hold Vrathian property. Return it immediately. Hollis remained calm. The Warbeast has bonded with a human child. Separation would likely trigger violent responses from the creature. We are trying to understand what happened. There is nothing to understand. The creature malfunctioned. It will be destroyed. Drath leaned closer to his camera. The human child corrupted our weapon with her primitive mammal tricks. This is an act of war. The child gave a simple command. The beast chose to obey. War beasts do not choose. Drath's voice rose. They are programmed, conditioned, engineered to follow only Vrathian handlers. This human contaminated our property. Hollis made a decision. What if we could prove this was not contamination? What if we could show that the bond benefits the Warbeast? Impossible. Our creatures exist only to fight. They have no other purpose. Then let us test it. If the child can demonstrate control and care, perhaps we can discuss alternative arrangements. Drath laughed, a sound like grinding stone. You wish to keep a Warbeast as a pet? Foolish humans. Very well, I will give you one chance. If your child can tame 3 more Warbeasts, I will consider your request. If she fails, we take all 4 creatures and the child pays for corrupting our property with her life. The hologram cut out before Hollis could respond. Lily's mother grabbed the ambassador's arm. You cannot agree to this. She is 6 years old. I did not agree, Hollis said gently. He made a unilateral demand, but refusing means war, and war means many deaths, including likely your daughters, since they will target this station first. Dr. Heron was already pulling up new data. 3 Warbeasts, fresh from breeding facilities, maximum aggression conditioning. They will be even more dangerous than this one was. Inside the medical room, Lily had fallen asleep against the Warbeast's side. The creature had curled its body around her protectively, forming a wall of scales and muscle between her and the door. Its eyes stayed open, watching the hallway beyond the window. Lily's father stared at his sleeping daughter. She volunteered for this, didn't she? Before anyone could tell her the danger. Hollis checked her messages. Station security says she insisted, she said. The ambassador read directly from the report. She said they are scared like her friend was. She wants to help them. Of course she does, her mother whispered, tears in her eyes. That is exactly what she would say. Dr. Heron looked at the brain scan data again. The Vrathians breed these creatures in pain, constant pain from birth to death. They are taught that violence is the only escape from suffering. Then this child shows one of them kindness, and everything they built into it breaks down. Can she do it again? The security chief asked. Can she tame 3 more? Nobody had an answer. They all just watched the small human girl sleep peacefully beside a creature designed to destroy everything she loved. The arena floor was cold metal, recently cleaned but still marked with scars from previous battles. Lily stood in the center, looking much smaller than she felt. Above her, thousands of beings from across the galaxy watched through protective barriers. This event was being broadcast to every major world. Her parents sat in the front row of the observation area, holding hands so tight their knuckles turned white. Ambassador Holly stood beside them, flanked by human security. Across from them, Commander Drath and his Vrathian officers watched with cold eyes. Dr. Harron monitored the data feeds, her 4 hands working multiple control panels. "Lily, can you hear me?" she asked through the small earpiece the girl wore. "Yes," Lily said quietly. She wore the same blue jumpsuit from before. Her parents wanted her in protective armor, but she refused. She said the new war beasts needed to see she trusted them. Outside the arena, in a special containment cell, the first war beast they called Beast waited. He paced back and forth, making distressed sounds. Handlers had to use maximum restraints to keep him from breaking through to reach Lily. He knew she was in danger. "Releasing subjects now," a station technician announced. 3 doors opened at different points around the arena. From each one, a war beast emerged. These were fresh from Vrathian breeding facilities, never having seen kindness or known peace. Their conditioning was perfect. Their killing instinct was sharp. The first one, designated Hunter 7, had darker scales than Beast, almost black with purple markings instead of red. It spotted Lily immediately and charged. Its 6 legs moved incredibly fast across the arena floor. Claws scraped metal. Crystal fangs gleamed under the lights. People in the audience gasped. Some looked away. Lily's mother buried her face in her father's shoulder, unable to watch. Lily did something that seemed crazy. She sat down cross-legged, right there in the middle of the arena. She reached into her small backpack and pulled out a package of dried fruit her mother had packed. She opened it calmly and took out a piece. Hunter 7 slowed down, confused. Prey did not sit. Prey ran. That was how hunting worked. The war beast stopped about 10 feet away, head lowered, ready to pounce. But something stopped it. This small creature had no fear smell, just that strange scent it could not identify. Lily took a bite of the dried fruit and chewed slowly. She acted like she sat in her own backyard, not in an arena with 3 killing machines. The second war beast, Ravager 22, circled around to her left. Its scales were gray like Beast's, but with orange markings that glowed angrily. The third one, Sorrow 3, approached from the right. This one was smaller than the others, with green markings that pulsed weakly. It moved more cautiously, like it expected punishment. "She has about 30 seconds before at least one of them attacks," Dr. Harron said, unable to keep the fear from her voice. Lily looked at Sorrow 3. Something in its eyes reminded her of Beast before they became friends. It looked hurt in a way that had nothing to do with its body. She focused on that one first. "Your name is Sad," she said softly. "That is not fair. You should have a better name." She held out a piece of dried fruit. "Want to be called Hope instead? I think Hope is a much better name." Sorrow 3, now Hope, tilted its massive head. No one had ever spoken to it in a gentle voice before. Pain voices, yes. Command voices, yes, but this was different. It took one careful step forward, then another. Hunter 7 growled a warning at Hope, telling it to stay away from the prey. But Hope did not listen. It came closer to Lily, drawn by something it did not understand. When it got within reach, Lily held out the dried fruit. Hope's jaws could crush steel. Instead, it gently took the food from her small hand, just like Beast had done. The fruit was tiny in its mouth, barely noticeable, but the gesture was everything. "Good," Lily said, smiling. Now sit. Hope sat just like that. Years of conditioning designed to make it a perfect killer broke apart because someone was kind to it. Ravager 22 roared in confusion. This was not how things worked. Prey was prey. But then why was Hope acting like this? Why was that strange, pleasant smell coming from the small creature? Lily pulled a ball from her backpack. Just a simple rubber ball, the kind children played with everywhere. She held it up so all three warbeasts could see it. Then she tossed it gently across the arena floor. "Fetch," she said. Hope looked at the ball. It had never played before. Playing was not part of its programming, but something in its newly forming mind wanted to chase that ball. It wanted to make the small, kind creature happy. Hope ran after the ball, picked it up carefully in its jaws, and brought it back to Lily. She clapped her hands together. "Good Hope, what a good friend." Hope's green markings began glowing brighter, pulsing with something that might have been happiness. Hunter 7 watched this happen. Its programming said to kill, but its curiosity was growing stronger. What was this game? Why did Hope seem pleased? Hunter 7 had never seen another war beast look pleased before. Lily tossed the ball again in a different direction. This time, both Hope and Hunter 7 went after it. Hunter 7 got there first but did not know what to do with the ball. It just stood there confused, holding this round object in its mouth. "Bring it here," Lily called, patting the ground in front of her. Hunter 7 looked at her, then at the ball, then back at her. Slowly, it walked over and dropped the ball at her feet. "Good hunter," Lily said, and gave it 2 pieces of dried fruit. The war beast ate them carefully. Its dark scales seemed less threatening somehow. The purple markings started to pulse slower, calmer. Only Ravager 22 remained aggressive, packing back and forth at the edge of the arena. It watched the other two with confusion and something like betrayal. They were supposed to be weapons, not whatever this was. Lily understood. Some creatures needed more time. Some needed more patience. She sat there on the cold metal floor and started talking, telling them about Earth, about grass and trees and rain, about her dog that liked to sleep at the foot of her bed, about how nice it felt when someone scratched behind your ears. Above them, Commander Drath stood rigid, his claws digging into the railing. This was impossible. This was wrong. These were Vrathian war instruments, not pets for human children. But down in the arena, 3 war beasts sat in a semicircle around one small girl, listening to her voice and learning what kindness felt like. 2 hours had passed in the arena. Lily had all 3 war beasts responding to basic commands: sit, stay, come, gentle. They followed her instructions with the same intensity they once followed combat programming. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. Commander Drath descended from the observation deck. His boots rang against the metal stairs as he entered the arena floor, weapon in hand. His Vrathian honor guards tried to follow, but he waved them back. He wanted to face this human child alone. Lily looked up as the massive Vrathian commander approached. He stood nearly as tall as the war beasts, covered in battle-scarred armor. His face showed old wounds and bitter experiences. He stopped 10 feet from her, weapon aimed at the ground but ready. "This is deception," he said, his voice echoing in the arena. "You use technology we cannot detect, pheromones, chemical manipulation. Humans are known for their tricks." "I just talked to them," Lily said simply, "like friends." "War beasts do not have friends." Drath looked at the 3 creatures surrounding the girl. They watched him carefully, ready to defend her if needed. "They are weapons, tools of war, nothing more." "They are alive," Lily responded. "Alive things can be friends." Drath laughed, but it sounded painful. "I helped design these creatures. I oversaw their breeding programs. I know exactly what they are." He raised his weapon and fired it into the air, creating a loud crack that echoed through the arena. All 3 war beasts reacted instantly. Their combat programming activated, muscles tensed, claws extended. crystal fangs showed. Every instinct screamed at them to attack the source of the threat. But they did not attack. They moved between Lily and Drath, forming a protective wall with their bodies. They growled warnings but held their positions, waiting for her command. Drath fired again, this time closer. The energy bolt hit the ground near Hope's feet. The Warbeast flinched but did not break formation. Its green markings pulsed with stress, but it stayed where Lily needed it. "You see," Drath shouted to the watching audience. "They protect her because she corrupted their basic programming. This is an attack on Vrathian sovereignty. This is theft of military property." Ambassador Holly spoke through the arena's communication system. "Commander, you agreed to this test. The child has demonstrated control." "Control through contamination." Drath pointed his weapon at Hope. "I will prove they are still weapons at their core." He fired directly at Hope's chest. The energy bolt hit hard enough to knock the Warbeast backward. It roared in pain, a sound that shook the entire arena. The wound was not fatal, but it hurt terribly. Hope's eyes turned wild. Combat conditioning surged through its body. Kill the threat, destroy the enemy. That was what the pain meant. That was what it was built to do. It began to move toward Drath, ready to tear him apart. "No," Lily's voice cut through the rage. "Hope, stay. He is scared, just like you were scared." Hope stopped. Every muscle in its body screamed to attack. The Vrathian breeding and conditioning demanded violence. But that small voice, that kind voice, pulled it back. Slowly, painfully, Hope sat down again. Blood dripped from its wound, but it obeyed. Something broke inside Commander Drath. He had seen Warbeasts fight through laser fire. He had watched them ignore wounds that would kill most creatures. But he had never seen one show restraint. Never seen one choose peace over violence. He lowered his weapon. "How?" His voice came out quieter now, almost lost. "We breed them in darkness. We hurt them until they understand only pain. We condition them to kill anything that moves. How does one human child undo all of that?" Lily walked past the protective circle of Warbeasts and approached Drath. Her parents shouted warnings from the observation deck, but she ignored them. She stopped right in front of the Vrathian commander and looked up at him. "You hurt them because you were hurt," she said, "but it does not have to be that way." Drath stared down at this tiny being who showed no fear of him. "You know nothing of Vrathian history, nothing of our struggles. I know you made these friends to help you fight, but maybe you needed friends for different reasons. Maybe you were lonely too." The commander's weapon fell from his hands, clattering on the metal floor. He looked at the 4 Warbeasts, including Beast, who had been released from containment and now stood with the others. These creatures represented generations of Vrathian military science, billions of credits in development, thousands of years of genetic manipulation. And one human child had turned them into companions in less than a day. Dr. Harron's voice came through the arena speakers directed at Drath. "Commander, I have been studying the brain scans. Your species created Warbeasts because you needed soldiers you could trust absolutely. But you built trust through pain. Humans build trust through care. Both methods create loyalty, but only one creates happiness." Drath turned to look at the observation deck where Dr. Harron stood. "Happiness is irrelevant for weapons." "But they are not just weapons anymore," the scientist replied. "Watch them." On the display screens around the arena, brain scan data from all 4 Warbeasts appeared. The patterns showed clear evidence of emotional bonding, social recognition, and what could only be called affection. These were not the brain patterns of mindless killing machines. Lily bent down and picked up a medical kit someone had thrown into the arena. She walked to Hope and began treating its wound. The Warbeast held perfectly still, letting the small human help it. When she finished, Hope nuzzled against her shoulder gently, careful not to hurt her with its size. "You built them to protect Vrathians," Lily said to Drath, "but you taught them the wrong way. Protection comes from love, not fear." Commander Drath stood silent for a long moment. Around him, the galaxy waited to see what would happen next. His war fleet orbited the station, ready to attack on his command. His honor guard stood ready to drag the human child away. His entire military doctrine depended on war beasts being controllable weapons. But looking at those four creatures sitting peacefully around one small girl, he saw something his species had forgotten how to recognize. He saw beings who wanted to belong somewhere, who wanted purpose beyond violence, who wanted, more than anything, to be seen as more than tools. He touched his communication device. "Stand down the fleet." He ordered, "The test is complete." The Galactic Council chamber held representatives from 43 different species. Each one had an opinion about what happened in the arena. Most of those opinions involved fear. Ambassador Holly stood at the center podium, facing the curved rows of alien delegates. Lily sat in a special seat beside her, with Beast lying on the floor nearby. The other three war beasts waited in a holding area, calm and patient because Lily asked them to be. "This body must address the human threat," declared the Kandorian representative, a crystalline being that refracted light when it spoke. "They demonstrate the ability to subvert military assets through unknown means. Today it is Vrathian war beasts. Tomorrow, what? Our defensive fleets, our security forces." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Several delegates nodded or made equivalent gestures with their various appendages. Holly's remained calm. "We have subverted nothing. A child showed kindness to creatures who had only known pain. They responded naturally to that kindness." Naturally, the Thexian delegate, a floating mass of tentacles in a containment sphere, pulsed with agitation. "War beasts are genetically programmed killing machines. There is nothing natural about their response to a human child." Commander Drath stood from his seat in the Vrathian section. The chamber fell silent. Everyone knew he had the most right to speak on this matter. "The human ambassador is correct," he said, his voice carrying weight. "We created war beasts through suffering. We believed pain made them strong. We were wrong." Gasps echoed through the chamber. A Vrathian commander admitting error was almost unheard of. Drath continued, "I have reviewed all data from the trials. The human child used no technology, no chemicals, no tricks. She simply treated our war beasts as beings worthy of care. Our own protocols forbid such treatment because we feared it would make them weak. Instead, it made them better." "Better at what?" the Kandorian demanded. "Better at being pets." "Better at everything." Drath pulled up holographic displays showing performance data. "These four war beasts now respond to complex commands faster than purely conditioned ones. They show initiative in protective scenarios. They can distinguish between actual threats and non-threats, something our programmed war beasts struggle with. Most importantly, they choose to serve rather than being forced. That makes them infinitely more reliable." Dr. Heron joined the discussion from her seat. "The science supports this. Creatures bonded through positive reinforcement outperform those controlled through fear in every measurable category. Humans discovered this thousands of years ago with wolves. The Vrathians simply forgot that loyalty works better than terror." A new voice spoke up. Ambassador Krill, representing the Sothian collective, rose from their seat. The insectoid being clicked their mandibles thoughtfully. "Let us address the real concern. If humans can do this with war beasts, what prevents them from undermining all our military forces? We could find our own soldiers bonding with human handlers, refusing to fight." Hollies had expected this question. "Because your soldiers are not treated the way Vrathians treated war beasts. Your forces are citizens with rights and respect. They serve because they choose to, not because pain conditions them. There is nothing for humans to fix in your systems." "You say that now," Krill responded. "But can we trust human intentions? This demonstration shows dangerous capability." Lily had been quiet throughout the debate, but now she stood up on her chair so everyone could see her. Beast raised his head, watching to make sure she stayed safe. "I am 6 years old," Lily said, her small voice amplified by the chamber systems. "I cannot even reach the high shelves at home. I am not trying to take over anything. I just did not like seeing them hurt." The simplicity of her statement made several delegates pause. She continued, "On Earth, we have lots of animals that used to be dangerous, wolves that hunted our families, wild horses that could kill with their kicks, big cats that saw us as food, but we made friends with them anyway, not because we wanted weapons, because we wanted friends." "And what do you propose we do with all the war beasts in existence?" the Thexian delegate asked. "There are thousands across Vrathian facilities. Do you intend to adopt them all?" Holly stepped back to the podium. "Actually, yes. Earth proposes the sanctuary solution. We will accept all war beasts deemed too dangerous for their current purposes. We will rehabilitate them using human methods. In exchange, the Vrathian supremacy agrees to cease all new war beast breeding programs." The chamber erupted in debate. Some called it madness, others saw potential. The Vrathians argued among themselves, split between traditional military leaders and those who saw what Drath had witnessed. Commander Drath raised his hand for silence. When the chamber quieted, he spoke directly to his own delegation. "Our war beast programs cost more than our entire fleet maintenance. We lose handlers regularly. The creatures are unstable and frequently turn on their operators. If humans can offer a solution that saves credits and lives, why do we resist?" "Because it shows weakness," shouted a Vrathian general from the back rows. "We are warriors. We do not ask others to clean up our mistakes." "No," Drath said firmly. "We are warriors who should be wise enough to know when we have created more problems than solutions. The war beasts suffer, our handlers die, and for what? To maintain pride." The Galactic Council put the sanctuary solution to a vote. Delegates consulted with their homeworlds. Arguments continued for hours. Species worried about setting precedent. Others saw economic benefits. Some simply wanted the war beast threat removed from the galaxy. Finally, the vote was called. The results appeared on the main display. It passed, but narrowly. 23 in favor, 17 against, 3 abstentions. Earth was now responsible for thousands of deadly creatures that most of the galaxy considered irredeemable. But as Lily climbed down from her chair and hugged Beast's massive leg, she just smiled. She did not see thousands of problems. She saw thousands of new friends who needed help. 12 war beasts arrived at the Reeves family property on Earth every week. Each one came from a different Vrathian facility, carrying years of pain and conditioning. The property had expanded significantly. What used to be a simple colony engineer's home now sprawled across 50 acres of grassland and forest. Lily stood at the arrival pad, watching another transport ship land. She was still 6, though her birthday was coming soon. Beast sat beside her as always, with Hope, Hunter, and Ravager nearby. They had become her core team, helping introduce newcomers to life without pain. The ship's cargo door opened. Handlers in protective armor led out a war beast that looked different from the others. This one had white scales instead of gray, with blue markings that barely glowed. It moved slowly as if every step hurt. Its eyes were dull. "That is Winter," Dr. Heron said, reading from her tablet. She visited Earth regularly now, studying the rehabilitation program. 37 handlers dead, scheduled for termination before the sanctuary solution passed. Severe trauma conditioning. This will be difficult. Lily had heard similar warnings before. She walked forward calmly. Beast and the others stayed back, giving her space to work. The handlers released Winter's restraints and hurried back to their ship. They did not want to be nearby when the war beast decided to attack. Winter looked at Lily with those dull eyes. The creature had been hurt so many times that it no longer felt anything. Pain was normal. Kindness was the unknown variable that frightened it. "Hi, Winter," Lily said softly. "I am Lily. "These are my friends. We are happy you came to visit." Winter's blue markings flickered once, then went dark again. It made no move to attack, but it also did not respond. Just stood there, broken and waiting for the next punishment. Lily knew this type. Some war beasts attacked because they feared. Others, like Winter, had given up entirely. She pulled a ball from her pocket and rolled it gently toward the white-scaled creature. It bounced off Winter's foot and rolled away. Winter did not even look down. "That is okay," Lily said. "You do not have to play right now. Want to see where you will live." She started walking toward the main habitat areas. Beast fell into step beside her. After a moment, Winter followed. Not because of programming, not because of commands, simply because the small human was walking and it had nothing else to do. The property had multiple habitat zones. Some war beasts preferred rocky areas. Others liked the forest sections. A few enjoyed the water features. Lily led Winter to a quiet meadow where new arrivals usually started their adjustment. "You can stay here," Lily explained, gesturing to a large shelter built specifically for war beast proportions. "There is food whenever you want it. Water is in that pond. If you need anything, just call. Someone will come." Winter looked at the shelter, at the pond, at the meadow grass moving in the wind. None of this made sense. Where were the pain cages? Where were the handlers with electric prods? Where were the combat conditioning chambers? Beast approached carefully and touched his nose to Winter's leg. The white-scaled war beast flinched but did not attack. Beast made a low, rumbling sound that meant safety. That meant family. That meant this place was different. Over the next weeks, Winter slowly emerged from its shell. It started by eating the food left nearby, then drinking from the pond. Eventually, it ventured out of the shelter during daytime. Lily visited every day, never pushing, never demanding, just being present. Other war beasts lived on the property now. Over 200 had completed rehabilitation. They wandered freely, establishing their own social groups. Some bonded with human handlers. Others preferred the company of their own kind. All of them were learning what peace felt like. Lily's parents had adapted to their daughter's new role. Her mother coordinated the logistics of housing and feeding hundreds of massive creatures. Her father engineered new shelter designs and safety systems. They watched their daughter teach former killing machines how to play fetch and roll over. "Ambassador Holly sent a message," Lily's mother said one evening at dinner. Beast lay under the table, taking up most of the floor space. Hope dozed in the yard outside. 5 more species want to send their problem creatures to Earth. Not just war beasts now. Other types of dangerous animals they created and cannot control. "What did you tell her?" Lily's father asked. "I said we would think about it." Lily looked up from her plate. "We should help them. The animals did not ask to be made dangerous. They just need friends who understand." 6 months after the Galactic Council vote, Earth had become known across the galaxy as the place where the irredeemable found redemption. News feeds showed war beasts playing in meadows. Scientific journals published studies on rehabilitation success rates. Military academies revised their training protocols, studying human bonding methods. The Vrathian Supremacy announced the closure of their last war beast breeding facility. Commander Drath himself oversaw the shutdown, ensuring every remaining creature was transported to Earth safely. He visited the Reeves property to see the results firsthand. Winter, the war beast everyone said was too broken to save, ran across the meadow chasing a ball. Its blue markings glowed brightly now. It played with 3 other war beasts, their combined weight shaking the ground as they tumbled and wrestled like puppies. "Impossible," Drath said quietly, watching them. "Winter killed my best friend, tore him apart without hesitation. That creature knew only violence." "That creature knew only pain," Lily corrected gently. She stood beside the Vrathian commander, barely reaching his knee. "Now it knows other things." Drath knelt down to Lily's level. "Your species frightens mine, small human. You turn our weapons into friends. You make the unmakeable bonds. What else can you do? Lily thought about this seriously. We can teach you, if you want, how to be friends with things that scare you, how to see past the dangerous parts to the good parts underneath. My teacher says humans are good at that because we used to be prey. We learned to make friends with predators to survive. And now predators make friends with you. Yes, because we showed them a better way. Winter came bounding over, having retrieved the ball. The massive white war beast dropped it at Lily's feet, tail wagging, blue markings pulsing with happiness. Drath reached out slowly, and Winter allowed the Vrathian to touch its scales. The commander's hands shook slightly. I helped create you, he whispered to Winter. I signed the authorization for your breeding. I approved your conditioning protocols. I am sorry. Winter tilted its head, studying this Vrathian who smelled like old pain and new regret. Then it did something remarkable. It gently nuzzled against Drath's armored chest, the way it did with Lily when she was sad. Forgiveness, given freely by a creature engineered to know only hatred. Drath stood up, his eyes bright with emotion Vrathians rarely showed. I will recommend to my government that we send specialists to learn human methods, not for military purposes, for healing. We can teach you, Lily said again. She picked up the ball and threw it. Winter and Beast both ran after it, racing each other across the meadow. It is not hard. You just have to remember that everyone wants to be loved. Even scary things, even broken things, especially broken things. The sun set over the Reeves property, casting long shadows across the meadows and forests where war beasts roamed free. Lily sat on Beast's back, the way a child might sit on a pony. Around her, creatures designed for destruction played and rested and discovered joy for the first time in their lives. And across the galaxy, species that once feared what humans could do began to understand what humans could teach.